Hey everybody, it's Kisa, Coach K, and I just wanted to come and give you an encouraging message this evening on disappointment, doing something a little bit different, right? But especially with recent events pertaining to our nation, recent elections, and there are a good deal of people who had to sort through a wave of emotions on number one primarily being disappointment for some people, not everyone, but some people. So I wanted to spend some time as a life coach, okay, that kind of tugs on what I do and who I am. And it really speaks to where I am in life at this point. And I just wanted to tell you that one of the very first things when dealing with disappointment is just quite simply to be honest about it. I don't know why we think it's such a badge of shame or even a badge of weakness for us to be able to say that we're dealing with disappointment. No. The first thing that you have to do in order to work through an emotion, particularly one as bold, particularly one as dominant, particularly one which could be as devastating as disappointment, you have to own it. So, some of us, the way we deal with things is we just kind of get irritated in the moment and we never really deal with it. We just kind of sweep it sweep it up under the rug. And how many of you who have a home or clean houses or have ever cleaned, and you know that after a while, as you continue sweeping, at some point you're going to have to deal with that pile. It keeps growing. No, ideally, there are times that we just simply have to sit with the decision. There's sometimes we have to sit with the emotion of disappointment. Now, I'm not telling you to sit with it the next 6 months, but over a couple of days, sometimes it's okay to sit down and say, you know what? I am disappointed. And if it doesn't help just to say it to yourself, you've got a good girlfriend or even your spouse, you can sit down with them and just say, you know what? I am so disappointed. I am so not well with what happened. That is perfectly normal. That is perfectly healthy to say, I'm not okay. The problem is when we try to carry it and we don't want to admit that we have an issue. Therein lies the problem, right? Because we're trying to deal with something that we are not really addressing. The only way to overcome a negative emotion or an emotion that threatens your peace is to deal with it. Yeah, face it. So this isn't anything earth-shattering. It isn't anything groundbreaking. I just wanted to take a few minutes to just let you know it's perfectly okay not to be okay. I was checking the time, trying to see how long this video is, because again, I'm doing something a little bit different this week. I normally have shows and spend 30 minutes talking to you, 20, 30 minutes. And I thought, now let me slow it down just a little bit and let me break this down into digestible nuggets for people. So we're going to talk about dealing with disappointment for the rest of this week, okay? In short, digestible pieces. And the first thing that I want you to do as a coach is to say when you're not okay. Now, what does that involve when you say that you're not okay? It may just involve, as I mentioned earlier, you admitting it to yourself. Taking a few minutes to get away from the kids, to get away from the spouse, to get away from your job and all the activity, because activity can hide how you really feel, right? We can sometimes use activity to hide or to cover. But getting to yourself for a few minutes, going and even having breakfast with yourself, having lunch with yourself, and just kind of sitting in that emotion. And I'm not going to rush you with that. If it takes a couple of days for you to process it, take your couple of days. If it takes a couple of weeks for you to process it, take a couple of weeks. You know, it's not a sign of weakness to admit that we all deal with those emotions. That's what they're there for. We're going to feel those highs of pure joy and bliss, but as part of this life as well, we're going to feel the deep pangs of disappointment. The most important thing with it is facing it, not running away from it. Listen, I'm not talking from a critical standpoint. I've been there myself. So, giving you an encouraging word tonight on how to deal with disappointment. Listen, we're not going to spend 30 minutes on here tonight. We're not going to spend 45 minutes, but simply telling you, when dealing with an emotion as powerful as disappointment, one of the first things that you need to do is to face it. I've got my life coaching hat on in full effect. And, you know, I want to say too, whether you're dealing with the disappointment, I mean, we can broaden this out to a number of things. If you're dealing with the disappointment in relationships, if you are in a situation where you've broken up with someone recently, you know, you may be dealing with a health diagnosis. You may be dealing with divorce. You may be dealing with the death of a loved one or a spouse. We have those seasons where we face disappointment. Now, disappointment comes to us all. Here's the key, though. How you handle it will determine whether it progresses into other things like depression, anxiety, and grief. Heard of those? Yeah. They are actually offspring of disappointment and hurt and pain. Because again, let me be clear and let me reiterate. We all deal with those emotions. They come to each and every one of us. None of us who are living on this earth get a pass from disappointment and pain. Not a one of us. However, we can make the decision to stop it from progressing to things like depression, anxiety, and grief. But it's all in how you deal with it. And it's all in being willing to face it, to say, I'm not okay. It's also good to confess it to a friend, number 2. So first of all, you say that you're not okay. Second of all, confess it to a friend and or family member. And third, if you find that this is lingering around for more than a few days or more than a short period of time, what you can do is move forward, okay? Move forward with setting up an appointment with someone. You're welcome to slide into my DM and I can talk to you about whether or not I can help or I can refer you out to someone. Okay? I'm a coach and I firmly recognize my lane, but I'm also connected to a number of mental health professionals who would be able to help you as well. Okay? Not any competition. We each have our very specific role. So it's okay to not say that you're okay, but it's also important that you recognize that disappointment and feeling pain, feeling hurt does not have to progress to the more debilitating emotions like depression, anxiety, and grief. No, we can stop it. And so I'm real big on giving you tips on what to do and how to move forward. So one of the things that you can do is to simply journal how you feel. A lot of times the depression and the anxiety progresses or manifests because it's emotion that we have not properly processed. And it's emotion that's not given its proper voice. One of the things I journal for a hobby. Like, it's like a sport for me. I'm always journaling. And what I find is that it helps me so much because that piece of paper and pen do not judge. No, they're not going to judge you. When you need to say, I'm not feeling well, when you need to say, I want to scream, when you need to say, I feel like, that piece of paper and that pen do not judge you. So in admitting that you're not okay, why don't you take some time and spend a few days writing down your thoughts? Because once you clear those thoughts out of you and get them on the inside and give voice and space to them, You then clear up space in your heart to be able to move on. Now, again, I'm real big on getting help when you need it. So if you're finding that by admitting that you have an issue, that's not enough, if you find that talking to a friend or a loved one still isn't enough, if you find that journaling still isn't enough, it's time to talk to someone, okay? Remember, I'm confidential as a life coach, so I fully recognize I'm not called to help everyone, but I certainly can be a tool to help point you in the right direction. If we were all to be truthful, there have been times that each and every one of us have faced the emotion of disappointment, and I would dare say a number have been faced with facing grief and depression and anxiety. Here's the deal. It's not whether or not that emotion challenges you or comes to face you. It's what you choose to do with it when it does. So I am encouraging you to get into action and do not fight this battle alone. Open your mouth, open your heart, write it out, talk it out. Pray about it. If you figure, I don't have anyone to talk to, yeah, God can help you with that. Pray about it. In fact, I think about a resource in the Birmingham area for those, and it's very specific now, very specific to those who are dealing with grief. But I believe it's the community grief support. You can type in centers which deal with that in the Birmingham area. And also you can simply Google resources, whether there are support groups that you need. I attend a church in which we have life groups, and they have life groups on a number of issues, like, for widows and people who are dealing with, being an empty nester, or who are dealing with emotional pain. I actually lead a group of women who deal with emotional pain. As those small groups we get ready to wind down, but we'll be gearing back up at the beginning of the year. So just my encouragement for you tonight, doing things a little bit different, but I just wanted to come talk to you about dealing head on with disappointment. And I'll be back tomorrow with another tip, doing it a little bit different, little fireside chat tonight, okay? Have a great night, and I'll talk to you soon. I'm Kisa, Coach K. Check me out at KisaSharp.com. I'll see you later.